Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. One hell of a drug. And I do want to welcome you to the channel wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to talk about is this price. I'm going to give a price. I'm going to give a price target area, the last chance to buy Bitcoin at this particular price. I do feel there could be one last opportunity to get Bitcoin at this particular price. I'm going to share what that is in this video. That's coming up. Also tomorrow, I do want to tell you that based on some of the news I'm going to share today, I'm going to do the next 2 days of shows on Friday and Saturday. I'm going to talk about where do I see this Bitcoin cycle ending? If you want to know or have an idea of my thoughts of where I think Bitcoin could top out in this cycle, I'm going to share an update on that. And then also I'm going to share an update on where I feel Bitcoin top could get to in the cycle, and it is going to be higher. My original Bitcoin target price at the top was $102,000. I am now, we have had yesterday or the day, I'm just all on a spin right now, the decision day on Tuesday, 2 days ago, a very pro-crypto administration now is going to be put in place. And so I am revising my target. I'm going to share what I think Bitcoin is going to get to at the top of the cycle and the date I think it's going to get there. That's coming up in the next couple of days. Okay, before we get into that, if you haven't done this already, smash the like. This helps get this channel out to more people and does help support the channel. Love all of the kind words, encouragement that I get in the comment section. I do read and respond to each and every one of those. I appreciate the time you take to write that and put that. That means a lot to me. And of course, also any questions in the comments, I do look to get back to those as soon as I am able to. And don't forget about the cheat sheet below in the description. That's my roadmap to crypto success for this bull run. Also, the Stocks with Josh link is also below in the description and in the cheat sheet. The greatest Discord on the planet. I'm in there daily. And so if you'd love to join me in there, there are some plans there that you can get signed up below as well. Okay, so we're going to jump into the last chance to buy Bitcoin at this price. We're not going to quite reveal it yet, not yet, but soon. But let's look at some of the news items and articles before we get into the price charts, before we get into the predictions here. And so first off, we have here, there are 3 phases of the cycle. And the first is the first leg up, and that started in January of 2023. You can see it here back in the previous cycle. There's a first leg up. There's a reaccumulation, which we are just coming out of now over here. And then we have the price discovery where we go up and make a all-time high. We had a bit of a this was a little bit unusual. We had that dump back down. We all remember that. That was pretty brutal and savage, although I did buy that dip. It was tough. It was fearful, but I did buy that dip when people were saying the bull market is over, and it wasn't over. And then we came up and had another higher peak here. But anyway, certainly, so we're seeing the first leg up. We see the first leg up here started in January of 2023. And then we had the reaccumulation period. This is where I started my channel. And we are nearing in on 5,000 subscribers. We're pretty close. We only started this channel in May, so I want to thank you for all. Some of you I know have been with me from the very beginning, so I appreciate each and every single one of you. And so we had the reaccumulation phase here, and now we're about to get into the parabolic or the price discovery phase. And this is why I want to talk about, because look what happened here. There was kind of, once it's gone, it just didn't really come back at all. The price did not come back. And so we came back low. I think 16,000 was pretty low, and it looks like a pretty good entry for Bitcoin. When people were calling for 5,000 to 10,000, I was calling for purchases at that level. And so if we then jump into our next little screen here, the Titan of crypto, we've officially entered the most exciting phase of the market, and I would agree with that. We're coming out of the reaccumulation phase, and now we're in the parabolic phase, or the price discovery phase of the market there. And just finishing off here, and this is just another reason to get bullish, and this is why over the next 2 days I'm going to readjust my price targets for Bitcoin to the upside, and I'm also going to share where I feel the market could find a top. But if you look here, the US government is about to put a 200,000 Bitcoin yearly buy order into the market, valued at 14 billion per annum, or 57.4 million of daily purchasing. And this is to add to MicroStrategy's daily purchase of 20.4 million a day. And you have a combined daily floor by at any level price of 77.8 million per trading day, which is a floor price of 172,000 per mined Bitcoin. Okay, what happens to so what happens to a finite asset of only 21 million in supply when you know just two players, the MicroStrategy and the US government, are going to guarantee you 173,000 Bitcoin for a year for 5 years, and the next halving the floor rises to 346 per coin. This is according to the British HODL here. So certainly I'm going to be sharing that a little bit over the next couple of days. But we're going to jump into the price chart of Bitcoin, and I'm going to share where I feel might be the last chance to jump into Bitcoin before it goes over 100K. Okay, and I'm not going to share today where I think it's going to end up, but I do believe it's going to go over 100K. And then once it gets there, these are this is going to be the last chance to buy. So let me share where I think that's going to happen. Now remember, I have accurately predicted the bottoms on this channel. I shared with you in each of those months where accurately the bottoms were to buy, where to sell. And I accurately predicted that we would break out of this channel here by the end of October, and we did with 2 days to spare. And then I said that we'd break out of this upper channel by the end of the year. That's exactly what has happened. Everything, as I have stated, from the July, August, and September lows, even the October low on October the 10th, and certainly for November, as we're here, I've shared this data before, that historically speaking, I shared that the November low was on a halving year was November the 2nd or the 3rd. But I said to everybody on this channel, and you can go back and watch, that I felt it would be November the 4th because it's a Monday and the 2nd and 3rd was on a weekend. I shared that very openly on this channel, that would be the low, and that I didn't think it was going to happen on the weekend because historically that had never happened on a weekend before. The November the 2nd and the 3rd had never been a weekend. It was a weekday, and I felt it would be the November 4th. That's exactly what has ended up as being happened so far. We have a November low. Historically also, the November low, which is sitting at 66,835, if this ends up being the November low, won't get revisited again this year, or maybe not ever, because the low in the election week historically has never been revisited again in history. So we may not ever see that price again there, okay? So these are a couple of things to keep aware. Now, this doesn't mean, look, history doesn't always repeat, but it often rhymes. We certainly, am I saying that we won't come and break below that level? Certainly it's possible that we do, but then we would be creating a new November low. And then we would go off that price that Bitcoin wouldn't come back below. So I think if it could get breached in November, but certainly historically, whatever the November low has been in a halving year, an election year, we just haven't come back to that level. Okay, so here we go here with where do I feel that there is going to be a place of entry. And it's going to be right here on the tribal trades trend line of all places. And I'll tell you how I got there in a couple of moments. But listen, this is not financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. Are you not entertained? Okay. And so what do we have here? Because there is a fair value gap. And so there's a fair value gap that starts at around about the $70,000 level here, about $70,400, $70,500 level, about 70. If we're going to be exact, it's about 70,400, 70,500 fair value gap there. And the top of the fair value gap will be determined when this daily candle closes. Okay. And so the fair value gap could start to fill today. It could start to, but certainly the fair value gap, what I'm looking for, this could be the possible last chance to buy Bitcoin at this level at around the $70,000 level. Now, fair value gaps, they don't always have to be completely filled, by the way. They can be partially filled, they can be fully filled, completely filled. It could go below the fair value gap. Remember also, Bitcoin has a golden cross that happened around the 27th of October. And I do want to add, I did share on this channel about the hash ribbons buy indicator, and I shared about it when it flashed. And the price of Bitcoin, when I said this buy indicator that just doesn't really fail. The last time it failed was the Black Swan event back in 2020, and we know that was a Black Swan event, so I don't really count that, but it doesn't usually fail. And that hash ribbons rate was at 59,400. And generally speaking, once that flash, we don't come back below that level. Also, the October 10th level, historically, we don't go back below that level. That's 58,900. And so there is a lot of confidence in people buying, knowing there is a lot of history in Bitcoin over its time that has been an asset that has held up. And so we can see here the fair value gap. So where could be the opportunity to buy? Certainly, I'm going to have a buy order here at about $70,500 there. And certainly there'll be some other buy orders that I will look to for Bitcoin. If we look here, even the 200 EMA on the 4-hour comes down to 67. I'm not sure that we get back down to there, but I'm looking at this tribal trades trend line around the 69,500 level as well. If we move down even a little bit lower here, we can see again the 200 EMA on the 2-hour, 69,000 level. We even go down to the 1-hour chart and 70,700. Again, this is right near where the fair value gap is for Bitcoin, and certainly you could get even more aggressive here. And the 200 EMA on the 15-minute chart is 73,200. I'm going to be putting a bid there also for Bitcoin. Of course, if we break below that level and retest to the upside, I'm going to get out of that trade and into lower, okay? But I'm certainly going to be playing the 200 EMA on the different time frames here as well. I'm not sure we get down to it on the daily, but certainly the 50-day moving average there, I'm sitting at around 65, almost $66,000 there. Historically, when Bitcoin has had a golden cross, which it did have on the 28th of October, it generally historically has come back to retest that. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to come back and retest at its current level. This moving average has moved up. I mean, back when we had the golden cross, that 50-day moving average was at 63. So just in a couple of weeks, it's already gone up to almost $66,000. So certainly I do expect it to come down and hit that 50-day moving average. Maybe that is when we see this pullback into this fair value gap. Remember, we do still have some bearish divergence for Bitcoin. We have a high here and we have a higher high. Then we have a high on the RSI, but a lower on the RSI. And to invalidate that, this high on the RSI, I think is about 72.6, or you can have a look at that on your own charts. If this RSI breaks above that, that will invalidate the bearish divergence, okay? So that's one thing that I'm looking for. The second thing to understand is sometimes bearish divergence can take some time to play out. So Bitcoin literally could go up to $80,000 before the bearish divergence plays out, okay? Right now, it's getting stuck at the tribal trades trend line to the upside. And so we have another tribal trades trend line to the upside. We have a few touches. How I create these trend line is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 touches there. That creates a trend line. Usually I'm looking for 3 touches to create a trend line, either on a horizontal or a diagonal there. And certainly we have a clear trend lines here. You can see how this has acted as resistance. Now it's acting as support. And so I am expecting price to at some point to come down. This would be come down for this bearish divergence unless it gets invalidated. Okay, it could be invalidated. At that point, this could be the last chance to buy Bitcoin here at the $75,000 level. If we retest this as support, okay, where we break above it, we come back, we retouch it as support, okay, and then we push up from there. Certainly there is Fibonacci levels also for Bitcoin at around 73,000. We also have liquidation levels. Most now liquidation is to the downside. Look at that at around $73,000. There's 100 million of longs that will get liquidated if price comes back to that level, and there is a Fibonacci there. So I'm not just going to wait for the fair value gap, because that whole gap may not get filled. It may only get partially filled down to 73. I'm going to have a bid there. Not as much liquidity above price. We can kind of jump around here on the 24-hour. You can see, again, more liquidity below price at 74, 73. And then if we jump to the 12-hour time frame, there is a little bit here. Maybe the market makers will come up and snag the 75,500 first, and then we come down to the 74, 73 level, or maybe vice versa. We come down and snag, fill that fair value gap, grab all that liquidity before we go back to the upside. So I'm telling you today, is this the last chance to buy Bitcoin at this price? What is that price? It's the fair value gap in here, somewhere between 70,500 and, of course, the fair value gap. We won't know when that gap is created exactly. We're going to have to wait for the daily close, so I can't give you that there. But certainly I am looking to have bids in at that $73,000 region here. And you can see there is some support there with these candles wicking up there. There is the Fibonacci that is there as well. And there is a bunch of liquidity there for the market makers to come and get. Let's see what shakes out over the next couple of days. I will be in the Discord discussing this, talking about this, trading this. So if you're not in the Discord, you can get signed up below. The link is below in the description. It's also in the cheat sheet as well. And of course, until the next episode, which is the altcoin show coming up in a couple of hours, around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, maybe 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Happy trading.